Northwest Texas, September 1871. Chief Quanah Parker and his Comanche raiders have been burning and plundering white farms and settlements. They're trying to drive the intruders from tribal homelands. The U.S. Army intends to kill Quanah and his warriors, or drive them onto a reservation. The Army has sent one of its toughest officers in to do the dirty work, Ranald Slidell Mackenzie.
By this time, he was a colonel, had been one of those boy wonders during the Civil War, had risen to great prominence, West Point graduate, everything on his military resume to recommend him.
Mackenzie takes 600 soldiers from Fort Richardson and starts looking for Quanah's camp. Parker is not intimidated and plans a counterattack. In classic guerrilla fashion, Quanah Parker dispatches small groups of mounted warriors to take quick jabs at Mackenzie's marching column. Quanah himself leads a nighttime raid and makes off with Colonel Mackenzie's personal mount. After a month of fruitless marching and scores of small but frustrating losses, Mackenzie finally calls it quits. He heads back to Fort Richardson to regroup. Quanah Parker and his mounted raiders have bought a few more months of life on the open range. Colonel Mackenzie's column of soldiers never did reach Quanah's home ground, but even if they had, it still would have been tough to locate a Comanche village. Plains tribes like the Comanche and the Lakota lived in portable tent-type lodges called teepees. How portable? Women and children could easily take down camps and get out of harm's way.
Since we were nomadic people, we could pack the teepee up relatively quickly in an hour and move it and be on the road. So it was a perfect design for living on the northern plains, especially following the buffalo and adapting to our surroundings.
Not only was the teepee quick and easy to move, it was architecturally solid as a rock. This lightweight shelter, made of a few poles and animal hide or canvas, would withstand gale-force winds. A three-pole tripod system forms the basic structure of the lodge. Once these heavier poles are in place, several lighter poles help round out the teepee shape. A final pole lifts the rolled canvas cover to its full height. The two sides of the cover are joined together with wooden pegs, and stakes of wood or metal secure the bottom edge of the canvas to the ground. Next comes the most crucial component of the system, the liner.
It compressed the area inside the lodge a small degree, so it made it easier to heat and maintain the heat in there. There was a storage space behind that liner. The liner itself came right down onto the ground for the most part, while the lodge cover set up off the ground. This creates an area where the wind can come into the lodge and travel up between the lodge cover and the liner, and that acts as a natural chimney flue to draw the smoke straight up and out through the smoke flaps.
And now for my favorite piece of teepee technology, the Native American lounge chair. You start with a bunch of willow sticks, strip off the bark, cut them to size, and then they're all held together with this strip of buffalo sinew. And here at the top, the leather loop fits over one of the poles of this tripod support stand. You set up your tripod, and then you hook this leather loop over one of the ends of the tripod, and presto, it's an easy chair. Y'all go ahead. I think I'll just hang out here a while. In most cases, women owned the family teepee and were responsible for maintaining and moving it. That was only fair. Usually, she had built it. And in case of divorce, she kept it. Some things never change. But while women may have owned the teepees and run the camp, It was the men's job to defend it. And it was the defense of a camp on the Little Bighorn River in 1876 that resulted in the most legendary Indian versus cavalry battle in the history of the West. Stick around, and you might learn a little something about the famous Custer fight you didn't know before. Powerful warrior society